They say the world is loud, but the truth is, it only gets loud when it's trying to drown you out. I lived in that quiet, not peace, not rest, just silence, the kind that creeps into your bones when the voices stop, when the eyes turn away. When you realize no one is coming back, they thought I'd vanish in it, fade, break. But silence is not where I broke, it's where I was born. They always mistook silence for surrender, but silence is preparation. While they screamed their lies, I listened. While they celebrated my fall, I waited. While they mocked my name, I carved a new one in the dark. You think silence is stillness? Then you've never met someone who was forced to become their own echo, dog. Do you know what it's like to scream and hear nothing back? To reach and feel nothing but the cold? To sit in the ruins they left you in and realize this is it. This is what they wanted, a quiet coffin with your name on it, buried under their indifference. But I didn't die in the quiet, I studied in it. I remembered every name, every smirk, every door that slammed, every voice that said I'd never matter. I didn't cry, I didn't beg, I didn't shout for them to come back. I sharpened. Steel doesn't scream when it's forged. It endures, it holds the heat, it shapes in silence. They thought I disappeared. No, I was becoming something colder, stronger, patient. I watched all of them, too loud to hear. The storm building in the distance, too proud to see the shadow rising behind them. And now they feel it, that chill on the back of their necks, that weight in the air before thunder cracks. Because I haven't spoken, not yet, and that silence terrifies them. They thought they silenced me, but I chose this quiet. I made it a weapon. Every second I held my tongue was a blade unsheathed. Every breath I took alone was a war cry stored. I didn't surrender. I studied. I didn't fall. I focused. I didn't break. I waited now. The stillness is over and the war begins. They didn't just turn away. They scrubbed me out. Like a stain they were ashamed to claim. Like a whisper they hoped the wind would carry off and kill. They didn't bury me. They erased me. Erased my name like dust on a window pane. A single swipe and gone, but echoes never truly die. You can kill the sound, but you can't stop the memory of it. You can silence a voice, but the vibration stays beneath the skin, behind the eyes. They think if no one says your name, you cease to exist. But I was never just a name. I was the weight they couldn't carry, the truth they couldn't face. The shadow they feared would follow them home. Friends, they vanished first. Couldn't stand the silence I sat in. Said I changed. Said I was too much. Too quiet. Too intense. Family they followed. Said I made them uncomfortable. Said I should just smile more. Pretend more. Be less on society. Society loves a show, but not the truth behind it. They love the noise, the glamour, the pretty lies, but someone who refuses to perform, who won't beg for a seat at the table, they cast that one out. I didn't scream when they did it. I didn't plead. I watched them. Remember, I stood in the silence they threw me into and learned how to breathe without noise. They thought I broke, but I was becoming something sharper than their words, stronger than their silence, more dangerous than their expectations. They thought ignoring me would make me disappear, but I learned something in the dark they left me in. Silence makes memory louder, pain makes focus clearer, and betrayal makes purpose permanent. I am not a forgotten name. I am the echo that rattles their peace. Every time they close their eyes, they hear me. They feel me in the cracks, in the stillness, in the space where guilt festers. I am not asking to be remembered. I'm warning them what happens when they forget. They thought I broke, but I was becoming the storm they never saw coming, becoming the consequence they swore would never arrive, becoming the ghost they cannot bury. Say my name now. No, don't feel it, because I won't speak it. They don't deserve to hear it, but they will know what it means. They will know what it costs to erase me, and what it will cost now that I've returned, not to be accepted, not to be understood, but to reclaim what was mine with silence, with precision, with purpose. Let them remember this. They thought I broke, I was becoming. They thought the fire died, that the cold would claim me, that ruin would smother the last breath of defiance from my lungs. But flames don't beg for air, they become it. The fire never left, it only learned to burn without light, quiet, hidden, patient beneath the ash. Something stirred, not loud, not bright, but alive. They saw silence, they saw stillness, but they never saw what was waiting underneath it all. Because when everything burns, what's left is the truth, stripped of illusion, stripped of comfort, stripped of them. And in that emptiness I listened, I watched, I studied, I remembered every slight, every smirk, every time they spoke over me, every time they laughed like my silence was an ending. They were so loud, so proud of their noise, so certain their voices would shape the world. So certain mine was buried beneath the wreckage, but even in the ruins, I could feel it, that spark, that refusal, that sacred savage whisper inside me that said, this isn't over. You see, I didn't need their approval, I didn't need their validation. I needed the lesson and pain. Pain is the finest teacher I've ever known. It taught me how to breathe fire without smoke, how to stand without applause, how to endure when endurance felt like madness. They thought silence meant I was gone, but silence was my sanctuary, my crucible, my sharpening stone. They feared I'd speak, they feared I'd rise, they feared I'd remember, because memory is what fuels the fire, and mine never cooled. They built their towers on my silence, stacked their pride on my restraint, danced on the ashes thinking the flames had passed, but I was still down there coiled, watching, becoming the fire they tried to drown. It lives in my bones now, not wild, not reckless, disciplined, controlled, deadly, and now it's time they felt the heat they thought they'd buried, because this spark they left behind, it's not small anymore. It's not quiet, it's becoming storm, becoming sword, becoming sentence. They thought they ended me with silence, but I chose it, and now I choose to break it, not with screams, but with fire. They called me a monster, said I was cold, said I was twisted, said something in me snapped. And maybe they're right, maybe I did snap, but what they never understood is that snapping isn't breaking, it's shifting, it's transforming, it's the molded steel. Remembers, it's not meant to bend. They called me monster, because they couldn't control me, because I didn't beg, because I didn't break the way they wanted. But monsters don't just appear, they're made piece by piece, word by word, lie by lie. I wasn't born with venom, they fed it to me. I didn't wear armor because I wanted to feel invincible. I wore it because their love came with knives, because their kindness always had conditions, because every time I reached out, they reminded me how sharp betrayal feels. And now, they flinch when they see me. Now they call me inhuman, soulless, cruel. But let's be honest, ... they don't fear what I've become. They fear what I've shown them, because I'm not a monster, I'm a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. I held up their reflection and made them look. Look at the games, the masks, the cowardice. Look at the way they destroyed everything real and called it survival. Look at how they punished truth and praised obedience. I am the reflection they tried to smash because it showed too much, because it revealed what they buried beneath all that noise. They wanted me soft, silent, not shapeless, but I gave them teeth. I gave them silence that cuts. I gave them truth they couldn't edit. I became what they told stories to scare themselves about, and now they hide behind their excuses. Call me names to protect their illusions, but I know the truth. I've seen what they refuse to see. that the monster is always born from betrayal, always born from silence, left to rot, always born from hearts to bruise, to keep pretending they didn't. Break me, they revealed me. They took everything I was and forced me to face what was underneath, not the weakness, not the desperation, but the power, the hunger, the thing that waited beneath the surface, patient, unapologetic, eternal. They wanted a puppet. I gave them a reckoning. They called me monster. Fine, then let me show them what monsters become. When we stop asking for forgiveness, when we stop shrinking, when we stop hiding, because I am not their mistake. I am not their warning. I am not their shame. I am the consequence. I am the consequence. I am the outcast. They called crazy. Every fighter they turned into a ghost. They wanted to forget me. Then I'll make sure they never sleep again. Let them name me monster. Let them curse me in whispers. Let them tremble when they feel the silence shift. Because when monsters make mirrors, the whole world has to watch itself burn. I never raised my voice, not once. Not when they mocked me. Not when they lied. Not when they twisted the blade and smiled like it was mercy. I stayed silent, and that terrified them more than any scream ever could. Because when you scream, they can label it big and twisted. Call it anger, call it weakness, call it desperation. But silence is unreadable. Silence makes them look inward, and that is where their terror lives. I spoke nothing, but they heard everything. They heard the judgment in my stillness, the defiance in my eyes, the quiet thunder rolling beneath my breath. They knew, they felt it, even without a single word. I was louder than their entire world of noise, because silence carries weight, the kind of weight that crushes lies, that shatters illusions, that makes them choke on every false truth they build. They underestimated the quiet, thought silence meant surrender, thought I was frozen, paralyzed, defeated. But silence isn't weakness. Silence is patience, wearing a blade. It's the sound before the execution, the hush before the collapse, the stillness right before the fall. While they shouted, I listened. While they punctured, I watched. While they ran their mouths, I sharpened my resolve in the shadows of their ignorance. I didn't speak because I was planning, because every word I didn't say was one more nail in the coffin of their comfort. Every moment I held back was another second I fed the storm inside me. And now that storm walks on two legs. Now I carry it in my spine, in my silence, in my stare. They can feel it, even when I say nothing, they know. They feel the gravity shift when I enter the room. They feel the balance tilt in my favor. They feel the reckoning in my quiet, because you don't need to speak. When the air around you hums with consequence, you don't need to shout when your presence is prophecy. They should have paid attention to the silence. They should have feared it sooner. They should have known still waters don't run deep. Still waters drown kings. And now the same silence they once mocked is the silence they run from. They call it tension. They call it pressure. But I know what it is. It's memory. It's guilt. It's fear finally finding its voice. They remember what they did, and they know I never forgot. They remember how loud they laughed, and they know now it's my turn to be quiet while they beg. Funny, isn't it? How silence, once a cage, has become my kingdom. How the thing they thought would break me is now the thing that holds them captive. I don't need to scream anymore. I am the scream, echoing in their minds, in their mistakes, in the hollow spaces where their lives used to live. I became everything they feared, and I did it without saying a word. I am the storm they tried to silence, and now they listen. Now they kneel. Now they understand, because I spoke nothing, but they heard everything. I don't speak for them anymore. I don't justify, I don't explain. I don't beg to be seen. Let them wonder, let them tremble, let them choke on their own. thoughts as the silence wraps around their lungs. You see, I used to scream for them. I used to want them to understand, to get it, see the pain, the injustice, the buried fire, but not anymore. Now the silence does it for me. It carries everything I once tried to say, every broken truth, every stolen moment, every unanswered question that used to burn holes in my chest. Silence speaks all of it, and louder than I ever could. They say silence is emptiness. They're wrong. Silence is truth. Silence is memory. Silence is everything you tried to bury, clawing its way back up through the dirt. You can run from screams. You can cover your ears, drown it out with music, laughter, lies. But silence follows you into the mirror, into your sleep, into your soul. And now it follows them, because I've stopped chasing, I've stopped defending, I've stopped asking to be heard. I am done asking now. They listen to the quiet and they know they were wrong. They know I never forgot. They know I never forgave, because silence doesn't fade. It lingers, it grows like roots beneath concrete, like rot behind walls, like the weight behind the final judgment. I don't raise my voice anymore. I don't need to die. My silence is not absence. It is presence. It is the shadow that walks beside me. The blade they never saw coming. The scream they never heard until it was too late. They see me now and they try to speak, but I stare unmoving, unblinking, and in that silence, they break because they see it. They feel it, that stillness. That's not peace, that's power, that's a verdict, and it echoes louder than any sentence ever could. Let the silence speak. For me now, let it tell them how I waited, how I watched, how I rose without ever making a sound. Let it remind them of every second they thought I was gone. Let it be the voice they can't silence because it isn't spoken. It's lived, it's worn like armor. It's carried in my gaze, in my breath, in the space between my steps. I don't have to explain anymore. I am the explanation. I am the consequence. I am what grows in the silence they left behind. They called it retreat. They called it weakness. They called it loss. But silence is not what happens when you lose. Silence is what happens when you win. Quietly, ruthlessly, completely, no applause, no declaration. Just the slow, inevitable shift of gravity toward me. Let them speak now. Let them scream if they want. Let them shout their apologies into the void they created. I won't answer. I've said all I needed to in silence, and they heard it. They all heard it, because silence doesn't ask permission. It commands, it decides, it rules. And now it rules through me. They will tell you that silence is weakness. They will beg you to speak, not because they want the truth, but because they fear what happens when you say nothing at all. Because silence is control. Silence is restraint. Silence is the storm you don't see coming. Understand this, the loudest ones, they are the most afraid. The ones who scream your name as they try to bury it. The ones who mock your stillness because they can't understand it. They shout to drown the sound of their own trembling hearts. But you have no need to shout, because you are becoming, and they can feel it. They feel it in the pit of their stomachs. They feel it in the way rooms grow cold when you enter. They feel it in their blood, the unspoken warning. This one doesn't beg, this one doesn't break, this one is silent and still rising. So let them talk, let them laugh, let them spit your name into the dirt and hope you'll stay buried. You won't, because your silence is no longer a cage. It is a blade, it is a weapon forged in solitude, in suffering, in every hour you spent listening instead of answering. You don't have to justify yourself anymore. You don't have to prove them wrong with words. You already have. Every scar is proof. Every breath you take now is defiance, and every step forward silent. And certain is the sentence they never expected. They will ask how you did it. They will ask why you never fought back, why you didn't scream when they broke you, why you didn't beg when they left, but they will never understand because your silence was never surrendered it. Was war got the quiet kind that waits, the kind that watches, the kind that chooses the perfect moment to strike without mercy, without noise, without warning. Dot, look at them now. Look at their fear. It's not your strength they fear, not your rage, not your vengeance. It's the silence, because silence is final. It doesn't argue, it doesn't plead, it just ends things. And you are the end they never saw coming. You are the ghost of their guilt, the shadow of what they created, the answer to a question they were too proud to ask. So wear your silence like armor, carry it like a sword. Let it echo in your steps, your stare, your presence. You don't need to roar. Let your stillness speak for you. Let your survival scream for you. Let your silence be the battle cry they will never forget, because they thought silence was absence, but silence is presence. Silence is power. Silence is you, and you are not broken. You are not lost. You are not gone. You are here, unmoved, unshaken, unforgiven. You are the reckoning they prayed would never come, and you don't need to say a single word, because your silence is the weapon they fear.